Like myself and many of our other distributors, Jim and Sherry Ware had no previous network marketing experience, so they hired a very experienced corporate team. Some of you may be familiar with Dr. Bob Arnott, Chief Wellness Educator. He's an NBC medical correspondent, very well known for his medical work as well as his philanthropic work. So we're very happy to have him on board with us. The company was debt-free in its first year, which is pretty amazing to say. If any of you out there have owned your own business or know somebody who owns their own business, being debt-free in its first year is a very strong statement. We have this amazing hybrid compensation plan, which I referred to. I'll tell you about a little at the back end of the presentation. And we're members of the DSA. The DSA is the governing body of the network marketing industry. And to get access into the DSA, you really have to show stability in your company, that you have the ability to pay people, ship product, etc. Most companies get in the DSA in about 2 to 5 years. LifeMax got in less than 1 year. So again, all of this just speaks to the stability of this company. So a little bit about the network marketing industry itself. This is a 72, 73-year-old industry. It's been around quite some time. This slide's a little bit outdated. In 2008, it was a $120 billion industry. In 2009, it grew $45 billion in that year. So imagine it took 70 years to get there, and then all of a sudden it grew another $45 billion. So we're experiencing huge growth in this industry right now. Within network marketing, there are thousands of companies, hundreds of them selling juices, lotions, potions, powders, supplements, you name it. What's unique about Mila is that we are a category creator. We are the first in this category. We are 100% whole raw food. That's significant to us on a couple levels. One of them is we have people in the health profession, medical profession, who are joining us as distributors who have said no to all of the other items. You know, they see those juices, and although maybe the juice is high in antioxidants, it's also very high in sugar, and it's processed, and so they don't feel good about offering that to their patients. But this being a whole raw food with noticeable and measurable health benefits, they're coming on board with us as distributors. The other thing that's significant about this is that we don't have to worry about a technician in a laboratory creating the next best lotion, potion, whatever, because we are whole food nutrition fresh out of the ground, and there's almost 20 years of research going into getting these best seeds that are in our bag of Mila, which you'll hear about in just a second. The LifeMax World Vision is an integral part of the company. There are really kind of two aspects to this. One is the aspect where they have relationships with several orphanages in Africa. They work with people in the Philippines. They donate seed and clothing and medical supplies, sort of what people might refer to as the Band-Aid work. They're giving things back and helping on that level. But really at a more grassroots level is where Mila is grown. So if you can see on this slide, there's a purple band here that shows you 23.5 degrees above and below the equator. This is where Mila is grown. This is where it's shown to have the highest nutritional content. So what LifeMax does is they go into these areas, they create relationships with small farmers, teaching them how to grow the seeds. So not only do they have this incredible nutrition to feed their own families, but also they can then take the excess to market, create an economy for themselves, some infrastructure. So what I love about the vision is, if you remember the mission in the beginning, to change the health and wealth of the world, not only are we doing that as distributors, sharing this information and this food with our friends and family, but it's also happening at the grassroots level with the farmers, helping them to change the health and the wealth of their families. Okay, so what is Mila? A little bit about Mila itself. So hopefully you have had a chance to try it out there. Mila is a whole raw food, which is a proprietary blend of Salvia hispanica L, commonly known as chia. So there are about 100+ varieties of chia seed, and no one variety has the highest nutritional content across all of these categories. There's one seed, one variety that might have very high omega-3s. Another one might have very high protein. Depends on where they're grown and what variety they are, a lot of factors. So it really needs a blend, and a blend is needed to create the highest nutritional value all across the board. And this is what we have with Mila. So let's look at some of the components here. We have omega-3s. So omega-3s are kind of the main thing you see here in this bag that people are initially attracted to. If you ask a lot of medical professionals out there today and say, you know, if I were going to add one thing to my diet, what would it be? many people will say omega-3s. 95% of the population is deficient in omega-3s. So what that means is that many people need this. What's happened is that we've gotten too many omega-6s in our diet. Processed foods and other items like that are very high in omega-6s, and omega-6s actually cause inflammation. So when we get the omega-3s back in our body, it helps to put us back into balance and gives the body the power to heal itself. So that's why you hear such a wide variety of benefits people are experiencing, is because when they're out of balance with the omega-6s, their body's showing that disease in different ways. So omega-3 is very important. We also have protein. This is a plant-based protein, very high quality protein. Fiber, both soluble and insoluble fiber. Antioxidants. There's more antioxidants in a serving here than in blueberries. Most seeds are very low in antioxidants. This one's actually quite high. Phytonutrients, these fight the fight against cancer. We have vitamins, minerals. It's just a very densely nutrient-packed food that you're getting here. So a lot of people are saying, well, so how come, where did this come from? If it's out of the ground, how come I've never heard of it before? Well, it's actually been around for thousands of years, as you can imagine. It was an ancient superfood of the Aztec culture. It was one of their 4 main food staples. It was part of their religious ceremony, very integrated into their culture. And when they were invaded by the Spanish, they actually banned the seed and made them do away with it. So some people took it up to the hills, continued to grow it over the centuries. But for us, in our culture, it's just being introduced really in the past 10 or 20 years. So for us, most people that you know here, it is a relatively new food. It was called the running food by the Aztecs. They would use it to fuel themselves on these 100-mile plus runs that they would go on and fuel themselves completely with the chia seed. And of course, it's grown by nature and perfected by LifeMax. As I said before, it's grown and harvested primarily on small farms. The company uses all natural farming techniques. So because chia is part of the mint family, it's naturally pest resistant, which means there's no pesticides, herbicides, or fungicides needed. It's meticulously cleaned and hand selected. It's really an amazing, this is one of the things that makes one of our founders so excited, is this process of cleaning, because we may not know it as consumers, but to the trained eye, when you look at some of the other products that are available out there, you can get rocks and seeds and young seed and plant parts, and if you don't go through this cleaning process, you're really not getting all that you could in those other bags that you can get out on the market. And then as important as what is in the seed is also what's not in the seed. I just got a phone call about this today saying, well, is Mila gluten-free? So yes, a lot of people are worried about these things. So yes, it is gluten-free, sugar-free, and trans fat-free. Another thing that makes Mila unique when you're comparing it to other products that you can find is this process that is used to open up the seed. So if you get a whole seed, the husks are very tough, and so your body really can't digest it. Much of that will pass right through you. The other thing you're going to find out, there are some ground seeds. There's issues with grinding in terms of adding heat to the process, losing some of the oils. So LifeMax created this machine that is actually a cold fracturing process. So it slices the seeds open and makes them more available to your body, increasing the bioavailability, while also maintaining the integrity of the seed by keeping the oils inside the seed. So it really does make it more useful to your body. Each crop that comes into the warehouse is independently tested by several third-party laboratories for toxins and for nutrient quality and quantity. One of the things that we were just talking about in the last couple of weeks was about, we just got, I believe it's food status in Israel. Somehow we just got through the Israeli Ministry of Health to be accepted there to be able to distribute Mila in Israel. And they are one of the toughest ministries of health in the world. So the standards that they put us through really goes to show people that this is an incredible product here, because they don't let just anything in through their borders. So we do the independently testing, but also it's verified by places like the Ministry of Health. There's no unpleasant taste or odor, so you can mix it with anything. Really important when we're going cross-cultural to other countries, because when you put it in something, it doesn't change the flavor of your food. So if we take it into Japan and they mix it in their food, it's not going to change what they're eating. And so basically, Mila enhances a healthy lifestyle. What you see here on the screen are a few things that Mila can help with. Omega-3s, you just Google them. Supports bone health, maintains blood health, boosts your mental health, aids in weight loss. Dr. Bob Arnott was just talking to us last night about some fabulous weight loss studies they're doing, promotes anti-aging, and so much more. Really, the more that you're around this, one of my favorite things to do is travel and do these meetings for people in other cities, because I get to hear news stories all of the time about the benefits that people are receiving just from adding this to their diet. So what I'd like to do right now is invite you to pause this DVD so that you can get some stories from people who might be there in your audience, distributors who've been eating Mila, and some of the benefits that they've felt. And then you can come on back and we'll continue to the end of the DVD.